Now, we're still talking about President Buhari's budget presentation to a joint session of the Senate and the House of Representatives during the week. Now, it was a remarkable exercise because this is the first time a president is presenting a budget to an opposition-led National Assembly since the return to democracy in 1999. And this is also President Buhari's last budget for this tenure, although he's seeking re-election. Now, federal lawmakers have been reacting to his presentation of the 2019 appropriation bill and the drama that surrounded the activity. It was certain to be an exceptional budget presentation. It is the first time a president is presenting the budget for an opposition-led National Assembly since the return to democracy in 1999. Now, some lawmakers in the House of Representatives had also threatened to boycott the president's budget presentation over comments purportedly made by the Minister of Budget, Udo Udoma. It appeared lawmakers jettisoned the boycott, choosing instead to vent their anger loudly during President Buhari's budget presentation. But the president's supporters were just as loud and insistent as the opponents. Lawmakers from the ruling All Progressives Congress reacted to the heckling of the president during the budget presentation.
It's nothing too new. We've seen it happen in America, where the president is presenting his State of the Union address and the opposition is either jeering or sitting down and refusing to get up to clap and showing their protest or discontent. We've seen it happen in Parliament, where the Prime Minister is giving either the Prime Minister's questions or addressing, and people are just jeering from the opposition. But there comes a time when you should do it with decorum. You can be Parliament, you can be in opposition, but you can also be decorous about it. And we had to show at this point that there has to be a level where you know where to draw the line. And yes, it was degenerating at some point. And when your president has to tell you that we're bigger than this, that wasn't scripted. The president said to members of parliament, we are bigger than this. And I subscribe to that. But what is evident today is that it shows who controls this house. It shows the majority in this house. The minority will always say whatever they want to say. Minority can be 5 people. It can be 10 people. But today we show the overwhelming majority and support the members of the APC have for their president.
Well, as you know, this is election year and just a few months to the election, and the whole place is charged. Just like you have said, even the proceedings that led to this event today is something that were very strange. We knew it was going to happen. We knew the opposition, they were planning to stage a demonstration of a sort. And we also know very well that it's unparliamentary for people to be carrying placards in the chambers. But of course, in Nigeria, anything goes. We went into executive session, we explained to them, we told them that people should put politics aside. This is national interest, and that's why we are having a joint session. We expected a bipartisan approach, particularly when we are talking about budget. But unfortunately, some people thought otherwise.
In a democracy, you cannot stop people from showing their anger peacefully. And I think that what we saw today was very few PDP members showing an unparliamentary attitude. And of course, they have a right to do that. And of course, you also saw the reactions of the majority members, and we purely a majority. It was, of course, they were fully dominated. And the unfortunate thing was that the 2 presiding officers were PDP. The president had made his speech, very good speech, and laid the budget. When it was time for the 2 presiding officers who are PDP members to make their speech, and of course raise points where they think the president should look into, they prevented him. They started singing, which means even in their own house, they are not coordinated. And so we, of course, help them to say, Mr. President, you've led your speech, you've led the budget, you have fulfilled the constitutional provisions, so you can take your exit. And then we are happy with that.
Sincerely, I don't want to play partisan politics. I think Mr. President came, submitted the budget, he presented the budget today, and the way he rolled out all he wants to do, all he wants to achieve for Nigerians to benefit, I think is victorious. I have to give you kudos. Yes, the minority must have their say, but majority will always have their ways.
Opposition lawmakers explained why some of their colleagues reacted the way they did.
I think it's heckling, as you call it. It's a regular parliamentary process. I mean, even in the United States, the argument has always come up that the ability to burn the American flag as protest for what it is that you do not think is going in the way that it should is actually your right to democratic practices. But more importantly than that, for me, my concern is that we have shown division, that even the leaders of the country, members of parliament, who in their rights are leaders, have shown just how deeply divided the country is. And so my fear is that in the run-up to the 2019 elections, in the event that anything that the people feel in any way, shape or form that the democratic processes have not been adhered to in a very transparent manner, we have a very potentially incendiary situation waiting to unfold, and that is what worries me. But as far as whether indeed it is a democratic practice to heckle the president, it is. And I guess there was a fair amount of heckling as there was a fair amount of clapping and rejoicing. So it kind of balanced out. But we've always had a parliament that was across the aisle, that in spite of whatever our differences were outside of parliament, that we all agreed on the basic principles of democracy, growing our country, building a country for the Nigerian people, and I'm afraid that I've seen divisiveness that was never in the parliament before.
Yeah, my simple thoughts are that really there's nothing unparliamentary about what happened in the plenary today, because it's normal in any democracy. It happens in the House of Commons, it happens in the Congress. There are always agreements. Members are bound to be angry, and they express in a way that they thought, they could. So for me, I wouldn't say that it's unparliamentary. They just express their feelings about the state of the nation. Appropriation is an act of parliament. For us to have passed it and the president assented to it, the next expectation will be complete implementation of the parliament. Of the appropriation act, but it's not been done, and it becomes an issue. One will not expect that from the executive, because look at the capital budget, less than 10% implementation, and it doesn't add up in any way. So for us, that's not the way to go. And here we are with a fresh presentation of a proposal for the new budget, the 2019 budget. So it just didn't add up.
Some legislators who spoke to Channels Television also evaluated the 2018 budget performance and expressed concern over revenue shortfalls and the implications for the 2019 budget.
Well, I'm worried, but economy is dynamic, and Mr. President has said it all, and he has explained to Nigerians what it is to have the shortfalls, and then what it takes to bring the gaps. This is democracy. From one step we have to go to the other one. Of course, I've been worried as a Nigerian, but then economy is dynamic, and Mr. President has the integrity to turn around the economy, and you can see that from inception. Since he became the president, things are going up and down, and he doesn't lie about it. Mr. President does not lie about it. He said as it is, and then he has the capacity and the political will to turn around the economy. So there is absolutely nothing wrong in that.
Well, if you ask me, I will tell you that is in line with what is happening economically globally now. Revenues are not coming in the way they're supposed to, come in. And you could see that the president did mention that we are coming out of recession. This has been reflected in the total appropriation that was presented today. 2018, you could see that it was 9.1 trillion. It has come down to 8.7. That is being, realistic. He doesn't want to hide anything to Nigerians. Now, with the 8.7, you could see that releases in 2017 were kind of irregular. But there was an improvement in 2018. That is the reason why we could see a lot of traction, a lot of growth infrastructurally. We cannot deny that. We are seeing them every day. For instance, I'm chairman land transport. I could tell you specifically that all those projects that were mentioned by the president, they are in truth seen by Nigerian people.
The dust raised over President Buhari's presentation of the 2019 budget will die down in the coming days, and it's over to the National Assembly to begin legislative work on the budget and work towards the passage. This is where the hard work begins, and often where the executive and the legislature bicker. But with the 2019 general elections in February, there are fears that the legislature and indeed the executive may not devote as much attention to the budget until after the elections. Now, this is where we draw the curtains on this week's edition of the Gavel. If you have any views on any of the issues discussed, please email us on thegavel@channelstv.com. Thank you for staying with us and see you again next week.